Welcome to our another lunchtime session. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, so I'm just going to dive straight into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and share my screen quickly with you guys. So guys, maybe you've heard me say this the last time. A lot of people asked me in the past, what do I choose between Mail and Outlook? My answer is always Mail. And for those who don't know why I'm saying that, you can check out our video on Mail. And people always also ask me, why do I choose between Chrome and Safari? I would go with Safari. And today I will show you guys why. So first of all, the Safari comes built into the Mac. You can go straight from your Spotlight search into a web search. Now, I don't know if Alan showed you guys this before, but so say for instance, you go to Spotlight search, right? And I should now say, for instance, I go with Safari hints and tips. And now if I should type that in, it will just give me some hits that's on my Mac. But if I should hold down the command key and press B, then what it will do is it will turn into a Google search, right? So straight from your Spotlight search, you can turn it into a Google search. Now, seeing that we're now inside of Safari, right? Let's look at some of the other things that we can use within Safari now. What I like to do is I like to view it in such a way we've got all of my things in place, right? Like my my favorites bar, my kind of customize the way that I like it. Now, as you can see, Safari is pretty in its bare minimum, and I'm just going to open a new window. So now, first of all, I like to show my sidebar, right? And in my sidebar, what you'll have is you've got what they call your favorites bar also right in front. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my banking sites, right? So I'm going to let me go with FNB. .co.za. Now that I'm in FNB, I can move this into into my folder by just doing the following. So the first thing that I can do is I can click, right? I can click on that link and drag it into that folder. Or that's the one way. The other way is I can go, you see that plus there once again? But instead of me just single clicking on that plus, because if I single click on it, it's going to make it into a reading list. This time around, I click and hold on that plus, and here you can see it comes up showing me all of my favorite folders, right? And there is banking and investment. And if I release, it adds that to that little folder as well. Now, if I go and I go to say my another banking site, I'm going to go with Standlab. So now in there, I can now do exactly the same thing. But this time around, I'm not going to use that one. I'm actually going to go to the, you see there's the share button. So I can now go into the share button, right? And I can go into add bookmark. But now if I go to add bookmark, another window will appear and will specify where I want to add it to. So if I now click on my favorites, I can say banking and investment. And here I can change the name of it. It says there home Standlab. I'm just going to call that Standlab and click on add. Okay, you can see there's also description. Now, guys, I'm not going to go into this right now. I'm going to look at it into a little bit more detail with my next example, but I'm just going to click on add for now. Okay, and there you can see there's my Standlab, there's my FNB, but I don't want to show it like that. So I'm going to change the name by just doing a secondary click on it, and here I'm going to go with rename. So now if I go to rename, and I'm just going to call it FNB. Okay, so now I've got my sidebar or my favorites all nicely laid out. I can make a folder for my social media sites, add in my Facebook, add in my Twitter, and so on, all under those folders. So it's just quick access. Now, keep in mind, as I mentioned to you guys, that this actually falls part of your iCloud. So if I should now go to, say, for instance, if I should go to my iPad, and I've got my iPad hooked up, and I go to Safari on my iPad, right? If I go to Safari on my iPad, you would see that at the top, there's a little open book button, which is the same as that one there. So if I click on it, you can see it comes up showing me my bookmarks or my favorites, my reading list, as well as my history, right? So now if I go to my favorites, you can see that it's not, there we go. So there you can see there's my different bookmarks. I see it's not updated as yet, but in sooner or later you'll see that banking folder, banking and investment folder will pop up there. So it syncs with all of your devices, right, in regards to that. I'm gonna minimize it for now, and maybe hopefully after a while it's gonna come back to us. So that is in terms of how we can organize our favorites. Now guys, another thing about the favorites is that we can also see an expanded view of the folders. So for instance, I've now have quite a few bookmarks under my DigiCape folder. I've got a training folder with quite a few different bookmarks in it. If I double click on that particular folder, what it will do is it will give me an expanded view of all of those little of all those websites. And you can see that it also gives me a description. Now, descriptions are pretty good, and you can actually add in certain keywords to the description. So for this example, what I'm going to do is, and I'm just going to go back to the non-expanded view by just clicking on the arrow next to it. So for instance, if I now want to use, like let me quickly use a quick example with this one. So say for instance, I go to Finder. I'm just going to go to Finder help. We're going to do a help topics lesson, but I just want to quickly show you guys this. So I'm going to go into my macOS help. And in my help, I'm just going to go to where it shows me macOS support website, right? So it takes me to where I can see the help menus through the website, right? And now I can see these different new features of Catalina. So I'm just going to go to seeing that we looked at Find My with the family sharing the last time. I'm just going to go into that one quickly. So now that I've got this open, I can make this into I'll add it to my favorites as well. So I'm going to click hold on, and I'm going to add it to training. Okay. So I'm going to double click on my training to see my expanded view. And here, if I go to my the website, you will see that it actually added in this description as well. I don't actually want to have it in so much detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a secondary click on that. I'm going to edit the description, and I'm just going to give it some keywords. I'm going to maybe look at share location, comma, let's go with lost and stolen as keywords. Lost and stolen. Okay. So now, what makes it so good is if I I'm just going to go out of my expanded view. If I want to search for the certain keywords, and I can, or for certain favorite sites, I can, if I scroll down, you will see that there's a search bookmark that comes up. So if I should type in lost, and you can see I didn't even complete it, there it pops up. So you can even add in descriptions for the websites that you are adding into your favorites, right? So that is what I can cover about bookmarks and how to manage it, organize it, and so on. So let's go a little bit further and look at the customization side about your Safari. Right, so now we've looked at how we can add those things together, and you can see that I've got certain views open. So far my customization has already started. But now what I would like to do is I would like to maybe set up how my homepage should come up, what happens if I open a new tab, and so on, and even change my default for my search engine. So I'm going to go to preferences, and in preferences under general, right, I'm going to set that new window opens homepage. And the homepage that I would like to use is the DigiCape one. I could have changed this to say, look, I want to make it apple.com. Or I could have just said to set as current page, which is this current page here. So now if I set it as apple.com, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close everything down. If I reopen this window, you will see it will go straight to apple.com, right? For now, I'll just keep it as DigiCape. Some people make it Google to go straight to the Google search engine. I always tell my clients you're actually doing something that is already built into your browser, right? So now that I've got that as my home page, my new tabs open my top sites. I could change it to say to point to my favorites. And basically what that does is if I'm now just going to close this again and open it so you guys can see. Now it's going to open under DigiCape. And now if I should open a new tab, if I click on the plus, it will show me my favorites, which is that same favorites that's on my sidebar, which is the same as showing on my favorite bar. So now you've got those things going on. I'm just going to go back to preferences. Now, to further on customize this, I'm just going to go straight into my search. So I'm going to jump that. I'm going to go to my search. And here under my search, you can see it says this search engine Google, right? So this means if I should search for anything, whether I do it through my spotlight searches I showed you guys earlier on, where I just hold on Command B and click, and then it will take me to, it will do a search through my browser, through Google. I can also do it by just going to my URL and just type in, let me go with um, let me go with this lady here, Candace Owens. If I should type her name in, you will see that it actually comes up and it does a Google search straight in there. So no use for me to make a Google page, put it that way. However, I can also change the way my search engine works. So say, for instance, I click on my search engine and say, I don't want to use Google. I either can use in Yahoo, Bing, or I can go with DuckDuckGo. Now, for those who are not familiar with DuckDuckGo, DuckDuckGo is actually a search engine. So if I switch it to DuckDuckGo, and this is what I use when I want to maybe check out people's websites where I can't find it in the Google search. So if I should type in the same name again, you would notice that it doesn't do a Google search, but it does a search under DuckDuckGo. Okay. So now you can customize the way your browser will search. You also have access point to your passwords that you have entered in the past. You know that the Mac will request you to, if you want to save this password. If you say yes, what it will do is it will keep a record of it inside of your browser. And now if I want to see those passwords, I can now go and just put in my user password, and there it will show me all of my different passwords. Okay, and I can view those passwords by just clicking on it and it will show me those passwords. So that's basically how you can kind of customize your browser even further. Okay. Now, the other thing I also like to add in, so say for instance, guys, coming part of the customization, I can also add it in my favorites bar. I've added in my tab bar. I also like to show my status bar. Now, if I show status bar, what it will do is, you can see that it's turned on. What it will do is, if I go to any link, it will actually show me at the bottom where that, let me just go there. So if I go to iPhone link, you will see at the bottom of my window, the link appears there. So it actually shows you the link on the status bar in terms of where it will take you to, right? So that is also another thing that I like to do when it comes to customization. Now, guys, we're almost out of time. I'm just going to ask you 5 more minutes of your time, if you don't mind, because I quickly want to run through tabs and pin tabs, and I also want to look at some other hints and tips as well. So coming to tabs, right, to create a new tab, you will notice that on my favorite bar, there's a little plus sign there, right? I could also go to File and New Tab, or the shortcut is Command T, right? So if I click on New Tab, what it will do is it will just create a blank tab, and as I mentioned, that my tabs must show my favorites, right? And I can also add in additional tabs by just clicking on the plus again, and I've got 2 new tabs. So my one tab is under DigiCape. I can say that this tab must be YouTube, this one must be, let's go, Facebook, and this one must be Apple. Okay, so now I've got 4 tabs going on, right? So each tab can act as a separate window. So for those who don't prefer to use tabs, right, and rather prefer to use different windows, you can pull a tab out as a different window. And for me to do that is I just go to my tab, click, and I drag it. You will see as I drag it, it becomes a totally separate window, and it's not in my tabs anymore. I can do that with each and every window and make it all separate tabs. I mean, all the separate tabs, separate windows. So now if I've got it all separate windows, you will see that I've got quite a few windows that is sitting on my screen. But now if I want to now say I want to merge them all together as one single window, I can go to the top where it says window, and I can say merge all windows. And now they will come together as different tabs again. Okay? So these are the methods that you can use with your tabs. Now, as we know with tabs is temporary. Tabs isn't a permanent, right? Because I can close my Safari window on the tabs and it will go away, right? It will not stay there permanently. But I can also make a tab being a permanent option. So say for instance, I like to do this with this website, guys, especially websites where I have to every time sign in. So websites like that, one website that I would maybe show you guys is Quicket, right? So the Quicket website where I need to sign in every time and so on. So what I would like to do is I actually like to make this a pin tab. So for me to make it a pin tab, as you can see, there's my link for Quicket. I do a secondary click on it. I can do a secondary click on it and pin tab there, or I could go to window and say pin tab there. So now if I go right click, pin tab, then you will see it will pin it there on the side, right? So check this out, guys. You will see I've got 4 different tabs with my pin tab. If I close that window down and I say reopen it, let me quit Safari totally, and let me reopen Safari quickly. If I reopen Safari, you would notice that all my different tabs are gone, but my pin tab is still there. So you can make pin tabs of all the websites that you regularly go into, and it will specify it there on the side. Okay, and you can unpin it as well if you want to. Now, let me show you guys this. I was kind of not truthful to you when I said that all the tabs were closed down when you close it down, because you can close down tabs and even quit Safari and yet reopen it again when you reopen Safari. Come I show you guys how to do that. So if I go to Safari at the top and I hold down the Alt key, you will see that it says quit Safari but keep Windows. So this is if you want to totally quit Safari, but now you would like to know whenever you open it again, it must open in that same window. So if I quit it, right, check this out. If I now reopen Safari, there we go. They are still opening, right? Pretty cool. To cycle through your tabs, you can just go Shift, hold down Command, Shift, and use the arrow keys, and it will cycle through your open tabs. If you hold down Command, Shift, and /, what it will do is it will expand your tabs. And here you will see all of the different tabs expanded, okay? The same thing would have happened if you use this little key, show tab overview, then it will show me expanded view of all my tabs. But check this out. When I'm in my expanded view and my open tabs, remember what I mentioned to you guys with my Safari browser being ticked on? You would notice that it not only shows me the websites that I'm on my Mac, but also on my iPhone and also on the iPad. Here I can see which websites I was on those devices as well. So say for instance, you were looking at the latest sports scores of your favorite sports team, but now you're back at the office and you now wanted to brag to your friends that you won the league, right? Then you can go onto your Mac, go into your expanded view, go to what you looked on your phone, and voila, there we go. So you can actually view it straight on your Mac as well. So if I now wanted to see Admiral Byrd and Arctic Research, I can click on it and continue viewing it here on my Mac, you see. Now, the other thing I also want to show you guys is in my expanded view, check this out. If I'm in my expanded view and I've got so many tabs open, I can start typing and see what happens. If I type in Admiral, you see there immediately as I start typing, a search comes at the top and it shows me and it finds that website based on what I typed into my search. So you've got a built-in search as well that not only searches on your tabs, but also on the ones that you had on your other devices. So that is the difference between my pin tabs, my iCloud tabs, as well as my tabs. So guys, that is all I can show you about the Safari browser and why I feel that it's one of the most used or even best used browser tools on the market. Any questions?
Yes, please, Angelo.
Sure.
Again, really, really awesome. And I have amazing what's sitting behind everything that we just never use on a frequent basis. The pin function I use a lot, but it seems to have a limit as to how many tabs you can actually pin. And if you do too many, it just randomly selects one of the others, deletes it and replaces. What is the maximum number of pin tabs you can have, please?
Oh, that's one question I have to research for you, Brian. I'm not totally sure how many. The most I had was about 6 that I pinned.
Yes.
Beyond that, I've seen that it actually replaces does a first in, first out. I would go with 6.
Yeah.
I think that is the highest I pushed it to. one more thing I wanted to show you. It kind of just slipped my mind. I just saw it on my notes now, guys. It was actually part of this whole Admiral Byrd thing that I wanted to show you. Quickly, it's just going to take a minute. So, guys, if you're in a situation where you're playing video, then you can also, so you will see that maybe you are playing different video websites and so on. Then you can actually go into the top. Let me just play this. And you will see that there's a little microphone there at the top, right? So if you click on it, you can mute this tab, or you can say enter picture in picture. So if I say mute this tab, it will then mute that, all those tabs, or that tab that music was playing on. So that is another thing you can do, or you can switch to enter picture in picture, right? Which will then switch to a picture in picture mode, and you can move that picture into any place. Keep in mind, if I close down my website or close down Safari, then it will also close down the picture. That will actually give you a warning there. So it will even close that down. So just something that I forgot to mention that I wanted to show you guys. But anyway, it's done now. Anyway, on with the questions.
Ange, can I show people one of my favorite things that you didn't show?
Sure.
So I'm not sure whether you guys are familiar with Reader View, but often when you get a web page up here, there's all sorts of distracting information. There's an advert over here. There's most viewed links and so on. But if you look in the address bar, where that little plus button was, there's a little 4 lines, and this is Reader View. So if I just want to get rid of all the distractions and I click on this, I just click on it, and it removes all of that text, and it just gives me that article exactly how I'd like to read it. And I can save this, I can export it, and you can even set up some sites. If you click and hold, you can say use this automatically. So when I open up an article, it'll switch to this view automatically, rather than presenting me with all of the adverts and the distractions and all the other links. To get out of Reader View, I just click it again. So that is something, often for people like me, you're easily distracted. Sometimes it's nice to be able to switch it out. Not every web page has it. And if the web page supports Reader View, you'll see those little 4 lines on the left-hand side of the address bar.
Any other questions, guys?
That was excellent then. Very interesting. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Louis.
Thanks very much. A real eye-opener for me.
Oh, good stuff.
Thanks very much, guys. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
See you on Monday.